They say the walls still whisper, but what's really haunting Eastern State? Eastern State Penitentiary wasn't just a prison, it became a legend. And after its official closure in 1971, that legend only grew darker. With its towering stone walls and crumbling cell blocks, Eastern State sat abandoned for years. Nature took over, vines crept through cracks, roofs caved in, and shadows stretched longer than ever. But the silence didn't mean peace, because even empty, something stayed behind. People who ventured in spoke of voices in the dark, of footsteps that echoed when no one else was near, of doors that slammed without wind. Paranormal investigators from across the country flocked here, not for the history, but for the hauntings. One of the most chilling areas is Cell Block 12. Known for reports of echoing voices and shadowy figures, it's long been a hot spot for unexplained activity. Some visitors claim to hear whispers in languages they don't recognize. Others feel sudden cold blasts, as if something passed right through them. Then there's Cell Block 4, where a maintenance worker reported seeing a silhouette dart across the hall. When he followed, no one was there. But he did find something. His tools moved, scattered, and one was missing entirely. It was found weeks later inside a locked cell. Perhaps the most terrifying experience comes from the old guard tower. Security guards who patrolled the area in the 1980s refused to go near it alone. One described seeing a dark shape at the top window, watching him. When he shouted up, the shape didn't move. It just stared. The most famous ghost? A man in the yard, pacing the same path over and over. Some say he's a former inmate. Others believe he's a guard who never clocked out. Whoever he is, he disappears if you get too close. But the spirits aren't always quiet. Some visitors have been scratched, others faint. Tourists report nausea, headaches, overwhelming dread, and equipment constantly malfunctions. Batteries die instantly. Cameras stop recording. Microphones pick up voices that aren't there. What are they trying to say? What's keeping them bound to this place? Some say it's the trauma. Others believe it's guilt. Or maybe Eastern State has become something more. A prison not just for the living, but for the dead. They say a place like this never really shuts down. Sure, the gates may close, the cells may rust, and the lights might go out, but the energy, that never leaves. And for Eastern State Penitentiary, the energy has only gotten stronger. There's a long-standing tale about a tour guide who was locking up after hours. As she passed by Cell Block 6, she heard a voice call out, clear as day, "Help me." She froze, turned, and saw no one. She opened the door. The room was empty, but the air inside was ice cold, and her flashlight dimmed as she stepped in. She never finished the shift. She quit the next morning. Another chilling account comes from a paranormal team who visited in the early 2000s. One of their members wandered off alone to record EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. When they reviewed the footage, they heard a deep voice say, "Leave, now." The man never heard it in the moment, but as he watched the playback, his face went pale. That was the last investigation he ever took part in. Then there's the ghost of the warden. No one knows his name for sure, but several reports describe a tall figure in an old-style overcoat, pacing near the central rotunda. He appears solid, until you blink. Then he's gone. One staff member claimed she saw him nod before vanishing into thin air. Eastern State doesn't just echo with the past, it holds it. Some believe the layout of the prison itself Its spoke-like design creates energy that traps spirits, like a wheel that never stops turning. Paranormal researchers have even brought electromagnetic field detectors and consistently recorded spikes in areas with the most reports. Visitors talk about their phones glitching, photos disappearing, or strange images showing up in pictures they didn't take. One woman said she saw a face in her selfie right over her shoulder, only it wasn't hers or her friends. And the stories aren't just from tourists. Former guards, maintenance workers, even construction crews during the early days of the museum, many walked off the job, refusing to come back. Some say they felt physically sick. Others said the building watched them. Still, despite all this, people come. Maybe out of curiosity, maybe to prove something to themselves, or maybe because deep down we're drawn to places like this, places where the veil feels thinner. During Halloween, the site runs a haunted attraction, and it's one of the most popular in the country. But the real horror doesn't come from actors or props. It's when the crowds leave and the halls go quiet again. That's when the real fear creeps in. Some staff say they stay away after dark. Others claim it's safest when the place is full of people, because whatever walks these corridors seems to prefer the silence. There's one last story worth sharing. A father and son visited Eastern State on a warm spring afternoon. Nothing unusual at first. But when they reached the back of cellblock 10, the boy turned to his dad and asked, "Who's that man behind us?" The father looked around. No one. The boy described him. Tall, bald, angry eyes. But there was no one there. Not in person. Later, they found an old photo on display. The boy pointed without hesitation. "That's him." The photo? A former warden from the 1940s? Is it possible some pieces of history refuse to fade? That the walls of Eastern State don't just remember, they replay? Today, Eastern State stands as a monument to both innovation and tragedy. It was once seen as the future of criminal reform. Now, it's a place of reflection and, for some, revelation. So if you ever find yourself walking through its stone corridors, take a moment, stop, listen, feel the air. You might hear a whisper, a breath, or the echo of footsteps that aren't yours. Because in Eastern State, some inmates never left.